Uganda, good evening and welcome to this edition of the Hot Seat on 933 KFM. I welcome you, our listeners across this beautiful land, the part of Africa. My name is Patrick Amara and allow me to say Happy Labor Day. This evening, my guest is the Secretary General of the National Unity Platform, Mr. David Louis Rubongoya, and we're looking at the new internal political affairs and human rights concerns. Mr. David Louis Rubongoya, thank you so much for joining us. Good evening, sir.
Thank you very much, Patrick. I'm very delighted to be here, and happy Labor Day to everybody who is listening in to us.
Thank you very much for having honored our invitation, and so let's get into it. Mr. Rubongoya, on Sunday, it was reported that the head of the Honorable Robert Chagulanyi's security, Edward Sewufu, also known as Eddie Mutwe, was picked up from around Mukono. And up to now, as we speak, the last time I checked, Mr. Eddie Mutwe or Edward Sewufu was still missing. Do you have an idea where he is? Is he still missing, Mr. Secretary General?
Yes, Eddie Mutwe, unfortunately, is still missing, and he was taken by security operatives who took him away in a drone. The same thing they've done to so many of our supporters since about 2019, 2020, 21, every year, and almost every week, our people are abducted and all that. So, Eddie Mutwe, unfortunately, is still missing. We can't find him.
That is sad because if he was taken by security, you're an advocate yourself, you would expect that they could have done everything possible to align him in court or even to summon him and he appears before court and is charged formally. That must be quite disturbing to you as members of NUP, but also to the family of Mr. Eddie Mutwe.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate, not just for NUP and even his family, but for our country, that the lawlessness, the state of lawlessness, the state of impunity, where, the Constitution and other laws mean nothing to those who are in power. That's why they take our people and just hide them away, torture them, subject them to all manner of torture and inhuman and degrading treatment and punishment. So that's the unfortunate thing. And like I said, we will remember that we're still looking for 18 people, our supporters who have picked up some in 2019, 2020, 2021, and up to now are still missing. As I speak, we also have our comrades, one called Mpalanyi Michael, another called Shakul Sentongo, who have been missing, some for 2 weeks, for 3 weeks, and all that. So I think it should be a concern to every citizen of this country that we have a government which completely disregards the law and everything that the law says.
Recount for us, if you can, for those who are with Eddie Mutwe the day he was picked up by people you suspect are security operatives, exactly where and what happened, what was he doing, which part of Mukono?
Well, he had just gone to attend a function of one of our colleagues, and after the function, as people were moving, we are told that the military deployed several cars, and which included, these patrol vehicles, and then, of course, about 3 drones, we're told, and they just took him away. He managed at least to, first of all, talk to some people, and he was not just taken alone, he was taken with another comrade, and we're told that some others might have been taken. We've been trying to follow up with their families and all that. So, yeah, that's the state of affairs. But like I said, Eddie Mutwe's problem is not just unique to him. We have people who are always abducted almost every week and subjected to so much torture. And you've seen us go to the Uganda Human Rights Commission, we've gone to courts of law, but the impunity has only increased every day that passes.
So now, there are some times when your people are picked up and you have a way of knowing where they are. This time around, Mr. Rubongoya, you have no clue?
We have no clue, but of course we always know that majority of our people, maybe up to 90%, who are abducted are already taken to CMI at Mbuya. So our suspicion right now is that Eddie Mutwe is being held at Muya, at the torture chambers at Muya, because that's where many of our people are always taken and subjected to so much torture and all that. So our suspicion is that he's being held by CMI. I mean, that's what has happened to majority of our people who are usually taken, kept at CMI, interrogated, beaten up. Several of our people have been raped while in detention and subjected to all manner of torture. And then eventually they are either dumped somewhere or they are, shamelessly taken to court or whatever. So there have been different outcomes for different comrades.
So now, I'm sure this must be hitting hard on your core base if you have supporters who are subject to this kind of inhuman degrading kind of things. Then it's going to be very hard for you to recruit or even keep members in your party, isn't it?
Well, of course, that is the intention of the regime, to try and discourage participation, intimidate people, make sure that people are scared to participate in the affairs of their country. That is the intention. But I don't think they are achieving it, because the more they've abducted our people, the more they've killed our people, the more they've tortured them. You see, the more people have actually found even more cause to fight. Because, every time they take a comrade, then you know that the family members of that person then join the cause. They understand why we must fight to make our country better. Because if the regime is busy, abducting people without cause, and then they claim to have come to restore the rule of law and human rights, and these are the things they do with so much impunity, then I think it gives some people more reason actually to fight. So I don't think the regime is achieving what they have achieved. You've seen the numbers of these our foot soldiers, our supporters grow everywhere, every day, even despite all these violations that happen, because people get more angry and get more reason to fight and make sure they retrieve motherland from this kind of mess.
He joins a list of other missing NUP supporters, while others in jail are facing various charges. But we also know there are those who completely got off the radar, and it's been years. Case in point, John Bosco Kibalama.
Yeah, those are the 18 people I was talking about. People were taken away. John Bosco Kibalama was taken away on Martyrs Day in 2019. Up to now, his family has looked everywhere. And he's been nowhere to be seen. And like I said, these are 18 people that we are still looking for. They include John Bosco Chivalama that we talked about. They include a gentleman called Shafiku Angolo, Martin Lukwago, Semudu Maiko, Vincent Nalumoso, Dennis Zimula. We have Muhammad Kanata, who was picked up from Mukono. George Kasumba was picked up from around Chotera. Moses Mbabas was picked up in town. Yuda Sempija was also taken from Mukono. And many others. People like Mustafa Mbua, then Hassan Mubiru, Isma Sesazi, and others. There's also a case of that headmaster who was picked up from Mubende. And up to now, his whereabouts are not known. So that's why I say we live in a state of blood. It's very, very unfortunate.
But he's been moving freely for quite some time. He's a bodyguard, the Honorable Robert Chagulanyi. Is there a hint or probably a reason why this time around somebody would take a Demotwe?
Well, you saw what happened in the lead up to the last election. They came and picked up many of our people, who included Edimutwe himself, Nubiani, Bobby Young, many other people who were Chetan Dan Magic and others. So we believe that as we approach elections, they are doing the same thing. You notice that, for example, Edimutwe heads the security of our president, the Honorable Robert Chagulanyi Sentam, and Achideo Chivumbi heads the security at our headquarters, and we have other people, members of our security team. They are all living in fear because they're either being trailed or tracked down here and there. So we believe that it is what the regime is trying to do, really, like they did in the last election. They want to, first of all, try to disempower us, render our president and his security more vulnerable, and do such other things. I think that's the intention, really.
So now, if Eddie Mutwe is the head of security of the principal, the Honorable Robert Chagulanyi, and the head of security has been taken, then it means the Honorable Robert Chagulanyi is exposed and vulnerable.
absolutely is indeed exposed and vulnerable right now. And that's why we say that what we've been saying, that whatever happens to him, and that comes at the backdrop of all these threats that he's been facing from Genome 7, his son, and all these other problems. So, yeah, it's a cause for concern. We ask ourselves why the security is being targeted and the security of our party, all these members of our security are being targeted in that manner. But,
the platform filed a habeas corpus in court.
Yes, please.
Why have you not filed a habeas corpus in court so that Eddie Mutu can be brought, whether dead or alive?
We have done that for Eddie Mutu and for many others. For a guy called Shakul Sentong, I've told you, has been missing for 2 months now. We filed it already. They came and denied. Even when actually some of the people who were abducted and taken to CMI found him there and left him there. So, like I said, this is a rogue regime. That you file habeas corpus applications, people take weeks and sometimes months without basically even taking any heed to these things. But I also want to tell you that for people like John Damlida, who were taken away 4 years ago, we have habeas corpus orders. The courts of law ordered that these people should be released. Semudu Michael, the court ordered that he should be released. And the regime simply did not release these people up to today.
So I also know that you have been trying to have a protest vote, the launch of the youth protest vote, and it appears this is what has rubbed some people the wrong way. But bring us to speed on what this protest vote is like and is all about. Because I remember there was a deployment at the NUP headquarters about 2 days back when I was driving by, and I was told you were supposed to have launched the protest vote. What is this protest vote?
Well, we came out, and you know what we do? Everything we do, we say in the open. We don't do things in hiding. We came out openly and told the nation that we're going for a protest vote. Even when we're going for a by-election in Kawempe, we clearly say that we are going for a protest vote, because what we are talking about is that protest vote means protest against impunity, protest against corruption, protest against the human rights violations. So we are going for an election where we are calling upon Ugandans to protest against the poverty, against corruption and all these problems that affect them. And, it's not the police or the military to tell us what we should call our campaign. Let the Museveni and the people call their campaign whatever they want to call it. For us, we have called ours a protest vote because we want to protest against his corrupt regime, against his, kleptocracy, the runaway corruption, all these problems that we see in our country. So that's why we're calling upon people to protest. And we've said that a protest vote means campaign, make sure people turn up in large numbers to vote, and make sure you protect the vote, and make sure nobody messes up with your vote. That is what a protest vote means. And we said that the protest vote started in Kawempe, and we want to continue with it as we go into these youth elections up to the presidential election. And that's what we are coming to do this week on Monday. We want to have a press conference. The Youth League was meant to announce this, call upon young people to go and check their voter details, the eligibility to vote, ensure that their details are in the vote register, in the register and all that. And, the military and police came and surrounded our headquarters and blocked that event, just like they've always done. I mean, when Namialo and, other NRM people were launching a campaign to counter our campaign, they were surrounded by the police and given all state security. But when NEP is doing whatever it's doing, they have to come and cause mayhem. But all this they do out of fear. They simply know that they are unpopular, that they have lost legitimacy, and so they have to control the country in this manner.
Mr. David Lewis Rubongoya, Secretary General of the National Unity Platform. We're going to take a break, and the hot seat will be right back. Welcome back to 933 KFM, and this is the hot seat. My name is Patrick Amara. My guest joining us online is the Secretary General of the National Unity Platform, Mr. David Lewis Rubongoya. I remember there were a group of NUP supporters who had been in jail for quite some time, but we understand they confessed to having committed crimes and that's how they regain their freedom. What do you make of that?
Well, like we said at the time, all these things really show you the kind of country we live in, because these are young people who are picked up from different parts of the country simply because they are putting on either red beret or NUP t-shirts and all that, and taken in detention. And then until Balaam went and said they had instructions from Museveni to make sure that they plead guilty if they wanted to be released. And those were 19 of them who eventually got out of prison through that manner. But on that same file, we still have those who are still in detention, the likes of Machete and others, because those refused and they said, if we have committed any crime, try us. You know, later on, the Supreme Court, of course, said that it was wrong, illegal, and unconstitutional for civilians to be tried in military court. We all rejoiced. The whole country was rejoicing because the Supreme Court had spoken. But because we live in Uganda, up to now, those people are still in detention, simply because General Museveni wants them to be in detention. Regardless of what the Supreme Court said, the Supreme Court said transfer their files to civilian courts. Up to now, their files are still not transferred to civilian courts. They are still languishing in detention at Kitalia, some at Luzira, and other places. So that's the impunity we're talking about.
What leaves a bitter taste in the mouth is what we hear that some of your colleagues actually pleaded guilty. Of course, we were not there, but I know you're going to say they did so under duress and things like that. But you cannot speak with clarity whether this confession is gotten under duress or actually there was them claiming they had committed a crime.
No, but the whole country remembers what happened. I've told you that the regime simply came and said, plead guilty or die in detention. And after that, they came out themselves and told the nation what happened to them. Remember the story of Olivia Retire. He came out and told the nation that Balaam went and told them that if you do not plead guilty, and that's what we are seeing with others who are with them on the same file. People who have up to now, you know, and for us as NEP, we've always been clear. If you say anybody has committed an offense, try them in accordance with the law. You know, why are these people in detention close to 5 years now without being tried, without any witness being brought to pin them, without any evidence being brought against them? I mean, how can we be in such a country 4 years later, you just let these young people at their prime, take them in detention, and, you know, nothing is going on. You're not trying them. So even those who pleaded guilty, they did it out of desperation because that was the only condition that was given to them, that if you do not plead guilty, you're going to stay in detention for all this time. And like I said, that's what we see. There are comrades who refused to plead guilty. On our part, our legal team has applied for bail for them in the criminal division of the High Court, and we continue to do everything possible to fight for their freedom. But I can tell you that true freedom can only come when the cause of that impunity and injustice goes, and that is the Museveni regime.
You know, there is a saying that when hunters started shooting without missing, the birds also learn to fly without perching. In other words, you have to adapt to the challenges you face so that you can be able to survive. Are you adapting?
Absolutely. That's why you remember General Museveni saying that there will be no opposition in Uganda. But I don't know how far he has gone with that, because we grow strong every day because we know the situation under which we operate, and the conditions of our people are continuing to deteriorate, the levels of poverty, the restraints on our different freedoms and all that. So we as a people continue to work within the law. I mean, with all the injustice and impunity that is going on, if we had to give up, we would have given up long time ago, because we don't enjoy being in prisons every day, following up. People have been arrested. I mean, you can see what our schedule looks like. Today you're in Masaka prison, tomorrow you go to Nabwelu court, the following day you're at Luzira, the following day at Kitalia, the following day at Kitala prison, the following time you're in Barara, then you're where? I mean, that is a situation under which we live, but we continue working very hard because we know that we are guided by the justness of our cause.
Could this be a pointer to the kind of election we are going to get into? And does that worry you that if this is the dry rehearsal of what is likely to happen, then there would be things are going to be a little trickier and maybe uglier?
Absolutely. I mean, any sensible person would be worried, and we're definitely worried about the direction our country is taking. We just saw what they did in the Kawempe North by-election, the impunity, the deploying judge and the violence and everything they did. So everybody definitely must be concerned about the kind of election we're going into. I mean, if our party is not allowed to do any activities, you notice that we were supposed to have very big meetings. We had one for Uganda, we had one for in Mbali for Eastern Uganda. And then the regime said, no, you can no longer go on with these meetings. We were supposed to go to Western and Northern Uganda. They blocked our meetings. We wanted to do consultations. The regime blocked them. Wanted to do a nationwide tour, to continue with our nationwide tour. The regime blocked all these activities. So you can see that we're headed for an election where, there's no fairness, where, the Electoral Commission is completely not in charge. You saw in Kawempe, they were almost overrun. I was at a polling station where one of these RDCs threatened to arrest a member of the Electoral Commission. So these are the situations we face in this country. And like I said, people should not just expect NUP alone by itself to sort out this challenge that we have in this country. You have to take every citizen, everybody listening into us. You may be saying this is just politics, but politics determines how you live and how you die. Determines how you live your life every day. The reason why you're stuck in traffic right now, going home, is because of the state of roads. And where did that money go? It was stolen and used to organize birthdays from Museveni's son and to do all sorts of things. So if people need to realize that politics is too serious business to be left to politicians or even to a small group of people. Everybody needs to get involved in fighting this out to ensure that we live in a country that runs on fairness, on equity, and on justice.
So when everybody gets involved, there were some disturbing, content on social media by young people, some of them putting on new paraphernalia, but spewing some kind of language that is so vitriol, that is so negative, and also calling on almost hatred. And I'm wondering, I don't know whether this young man was a noob supporter or is just trying to spoil your name. But if people do things that are so negative in your name, how do you ensure that your name is not tainted to that extent?
Well, we've made it very clear several times that we are a non-violent group of people. We believe in good politics and in civility and all that. And many times the regime will plant its own people to come and say all sorts of things. You've seen them raid our offices and take away our berets and all that. And then the following day, they give them to some people to come up and say certain things, especially in the name of NUP and all that. So that one, I can tell you that many times the people that you see do not represent our values and all that. But there's also a group of people that is genuinely angry in this country. And I think our president yesterday posted something on his social media pages where he was saying that they, and by they he means regime people, they hate us and yet expect us to love them. They despise us and they expect us to respect them. They kill our people and yet expect us to mourn when they die or sympathize with them when they lose loved ones. They torture us, abduct us, rape our people, humiliate us, and yet expect us to treat them with mercy. To us, they behave like thugs, and yet they expect us to treat them with civility. And he was talking about the hypocrisy. We started this conversation talking about Eddie Mutwe. The regime is behaving like thugs. You're just talking about some of our people who may be just speaking out of frustration and anger, and they're just angry. But we have people who are raping our people, who are just killing them, who are torturing them. So why don't we look at the cause of the anger, of the hatred, of all these things that we see? You know, our president sang a song and said we are seated on a time bomb. Why don't we deal with the problem, the root cause of the problem? When all these people, the young people are unemployed and they see the regime, Museveni giving out 100 million shillings, taxpayers' money to every member of parliament, you know, billions which should be setting up factories and ensuring that young people have jobs. You know, billions being wasted. The money that should be setting up hospitals, which should be fixing roads and all that, going to West being stolen left, right, and center. So when these our young people sometimes get angry, I get surprised that some people focus on those instead of focusing on the cause of the problem.
Right. Mr. David Lewis Rubongoya, Secretary General of the National Unity Platform. We are going to take a break and the hot seat will be right back. Welcome back to 933 KFM, and this is the hot seat. My name is Patrick Amara. My guest tonight, joining me online, is the Secretary General of the National Unity Platform, Mr. David Lewis Rubongoya. In your earlier submission, David, you talked about the letter or the message sent by the principal of NUP, the Honorable Robert Chagulanyi, talking about the NRM and you in the opposition. In fact, the words you're using is them and us, or should I be precise and say them and you? You're creating that dichotomy of them and you, but the truth is also amongst you or amongst them are people who could be thinking like you on the other side of the aisle.
As a matter of fact, when we talk about them, we are not talking about the people who are used to commit crimes against us. We're talking about those who command them. You know, for us, and our message has been very clear that in Uganda, there is now the dichotomy between the oppressors and the oppressed. And the oppressors are just a small section of people. They're just a small clique of people. Those are the people who are in charge of giving those unlawful orders. They are the people who are stealing taxpayers' money and using it the way they want. They are the people. It's just a cabal. So when we talk about us and them, I don't think we're even talking about the police guys who are deployed at our headquarters the other day, because those are just used. And when you talk to them up close, they will tell you they are oppressed. I mean, you saw the results from Kawempe. Almost at every polling station where the police and the military vote from, we won. Honorable Nalkola won. And that tells you that they too are oppressed. But the people we are talking about, the small clique of people at the top who believe that they are empowered by divine right and who believe that they should be the ones to talk and everybody else should not be talking, who believe they should be the ones running the show, who believe that other political parties should not do activities and all that. That is the group we are talking about. And again, we have been very clear that we are not a hateful group of people, but we want a country where there is fairness, where there is justice, where there is equity, where there is equality. We want accountability. You cannot just keep committing crimes against our people and then expect us to clap for you. And I think that's what our president was saying, that you see, you hate us and yet expect us to love you. That, you know, you torture, kill our people and all that, and then expect us to mourn and be sad when you get problems. So our country needs healing. But when you want healing, you first identify the problem. You first diagnose the problem. I mean, I've told you that a small group of people is seated on the future of millions. The young people of Uganda, whose future is stolen. You know, you look at the money that the regime spends on every child under UPE, and then see the money they spend on all sorts of things. These are the young people, and then when they grow up and turn into street kids and start robbing people and all that, then you complain about that. But you did not invest in them. You just, instead of investing in education, in healthcare, in ensuring that you have a productive population, you just decided to steal their future and with reckless abandon. You see, right now I was looking at the figures and the rising debt burden in this country. And when you look at where the money goes and how much money we lose in corruption, according to IGG, more than 10 trillion every year. And that is minus the money that is spent on what we call negative expenditure, on things that do not benefit the taxpayer. So that's where the problem is, and that's what we should be talking about.
You have been super focused on mobilization, but looks like your mobilization campaign every time is disrupted and curtailed. And we hear now you have vowed to continue the mobilization campaign through other means. What other means, and how are you going to do this? Because it looks like you have been swimming against the current on this one.
Even right now, I'm mobilizing by speaking on this good radio station. I think we are mobilizing and trying to talk to the people, trying to say that, the people should get involved. And I think that speaks to the saying you talked about earlier on, that if the hunters learn to shoot without missing, the birds learn also to fly without patching. And, we want to use every opportunity to reach out to the people. If they don't allow us on radio stations and in the countryside, when they don't allow us to do rallies in those places, we want our people, if you get the message, pass it on to another person, and the person passes it on to another person. That's what we're doing. But
when I listened to police, when they blocked you in Bushenyi and in Gulu, the regional NUP leaders' meetings, they also say the Honorable Robert Chagulanyi, Sentamu, and the other party officials of NUP, whenever they hold such meetings, basing on the Mbale meeting, the procession, that they block the roads and blocking economic transaction going on or blocking roads is unacceptable to all.
They are simply partisan. And we wrote a protest letter to them, challenging them on the facts. I want you to look at all these activities NRM has been doing. They do processions, they block roads, they wreak havoc. Sometimes they block roads for hours, without talking about General 7 himself, who every time he's traveling blocks roads for I don't know how many hours, and you've been seeing what has been happening. But even in their mobilization campaigns, they've been doing all sorts of things. For us, for example, when our president was just passing through Iganga, he just waved at the people. He did not even stop to address them. But you've been seeing these NRM politicians stopping everyone. These are the double standards they've been putting out there. You remember in the 2021 election, they were saying that NUP should not hold rallies, should not hold processions, while NRM politicians were having big meetings and rallies and processions and all that. So these are the double standards, and we've talked to the police to tell them, stop being partisan. And, even the rank and file of the police understand these double standards, and when you talk to them, they can tell you. But like I said, they're also part of the oppressed group of people in this country.
Okay, if I may change gears a little bit on because you also talked about the 100 million allegedly given to members of parliament. You gave the renegade, could I call them renegade leaders, especially those in the parliament, 30 days to reconcile and clean their name before the party. Days are going and they are not. So what is going to happen to those who will not sign on cleaning their name on the money and their 100 million?
Actually, it's not just about the 100 million shillings. We are telling them that, first of all, we trusted some of these people, gave them the NEP tickets, presented them to the people, and people voted for them. And several of them have been a disappointment. You've seen some of them engage in corruption, violate the values that we believe in as a party. And I think the message was clear that go back to the people and sort yourself. It's not just even coming to the party. We are not expecting apologies from these people at the Secretariat. We want them to go and sort their affairs with the people, because we are people power, and we shall have an opportunity very soon to go back to the people and tell them. We already told you people that we have a scorecard going on where we are engaging these leaders at different levels, trying to ensure that we get a clear image and picture of how our leaders are standing, how those who have been there have performed, which ones are better, and all that. So if you've been a member of parliament and you violated the values of the party, I think what our deputy president for Buganda was saying is that you still have an opportunity to go back to the people and sort your affairs with them. And so that is it. But 100 million shillings, it was just not tagged to 100 million shillings. 100 million shillings was an act of corruption, is an act of corruption, and I don't like that you're calling it an allegation when several of these MPs have come out even confirmed that they received this money. So it's not an allegation, they got the money. There was that video which was making rounds of members of parliament shamelessly going at night with bags to pick that money. These are members of parliament are some of the highly paid people in this country. But because of the Museveni corrupt system, because he wants them to return the military court, because he wants to appreciate them for passing the coffee bill. He says, let me give you 100 million shillings each. Money which should be going into the economy, which should be helping our people. And that is why we are fighting against this injustice and impunity.
You know, Mr. Rubongoya, with all respect, why I'm calling it allegation is because I'm yet to have somebody talk to me in direct terms of having received that money. And yes, there was that video at night, but that video at night alone is not conclusive. You know, back in the day when people would get money, there would be one or two guys who would actually even bring the actual money back to say, I don't want your money. But this time around, it looks like if anybody ever ate the money, everybody's quiet.
But you see, you had Kagabo, who was a member of parliament incidental at some point, saying that he came out to confess that he received it. And you had people like Farouk Chirunda confirming it. You had Lydia Wanyoto confirming that she was even in the meeting where General Museveni gave this money to these MPs. I mean, this is your taxpayers' money. This is the money you pay when you go at the shop and buy sugar and buy salt, and you pay taxes. This is your money. This is the money that should be helping you, and General Museveni is just dishing it out at will. So that's what I'm saying. It's not an allegation. And when you say that previously some people would return it, because it would be given officially. Previously, the regime still had some sense of shame. So they would, you remember, like for the age limit, they deposited 29 million shillings on every member's account. But now they are giving out money in cash. People go with bags and pick money and go with it. Ridiculous. So there is, corruption at its highest levels. But
I've mentioned the name of Kagabo and other members. We're going to take a break. When we come back, I will be asking you about this, because these members, including Dr. Kagabo, who is your member, has decided to move out. And when you listen to what he says, really, then you know that in the next election, you're actually going to find a big hurdles, because the insiders are out and what they are saying is not good. Welcome back to 933 KFM, and this is the Hot Seat. My name is Patrick Amara. My guest joining me online is the Secretary General of the National Unity Platform, David Louis Rubongoya. You talked about the Honorable Kagabo and others, and I had an opportunity to have a conversation with them. These are members of parliament who were your members also of NUP, and now they have decided to join NRM, or even to quit NUP but not join any other party, including the city, I think, MP from Masaka. If you listen to what they say, senior members of the party, about your own party, then you know that what you're going to be up against in this general election is going to be a very different ballgame.
Well, first of all, we have no regrets whatsoever to disentangle or disassociate ourselves from corrupt people. What brought us together as NUP are values and principles that we stand on. So when Kagabo, for example, after confessing that he received 40 million shillings, we simply told him to return it. And you remember he tried to return it to the Red Envelope, and you remember the games that were there, which eventually forced him to go and join NRM and all that. So when people of that nature leave us, it's good riddance, because we are trying to save our country from such leaders. If you know that you're a member of parliament, and you know that you get your salary through a bank account, and you are called and given 40 million shillings or 100 million shillings from some back door, what kind of leader would you be? So that's what we keep saying, that anybody who quits NUP because we are fighting corruption and all that, we honestly do not care. Because we know that there are many other people who are well-meaning leaders. For example, all those people we're talking about, we had the Rope who is sent to fight corruption, and he ended up entangling himself, getting a service award, which was completely irregular and all that. So when people of that nature leave NUP, honestly speaking, we don't feel sorry. But all we ask the citizens of Uganda to do is to join the cause. Like I said, we make a very big mistake when we try to reduce these things to NUP. Because it is the future of your children and my children and the other person's children being stolen by these thugs, by these kleptocrats who don't care about the future of the country, who just care about their stomachs and what they gain for themselves, not for the country. So, like I said, those people, whatever they say, it is because we have made it very clear that we have some principles on which we stand, and we shall not bend those principles.
There are some members of parliament whom you wanted and loop leaders to come and apologize before, I think, a disciplinary committee, and they were demanding to know, what cases brought against them that warrants them to make an apology or reconciliation, because that was not very exact.
We did not tell them to make an apology to the party. That's misinformation. We told them to go and sort their issues. We have several people who keep claiming to belong to NUP, and yet everything they do does not represent NUP and our values. And we told them, you still have an opportunity to go and make your affairs right with the people. If people elected you and for 5 years you've been nowhere to be seen and you've not been representing them, they only hear your name in scandals, why should the party entrust you again with its ticket? And I think that was the message we were passing out there, that this time around, and our president made it clear that the last time, because we had a short time and all that, we were just going with who were available. This time around, people are available, who are capable, but most importantly, who can be trusted. Who can be trusted by the people, who can stand with the values on which we stand as a party.
Let's look into the roadmap for National Unity Platform, because we understand that you're going to be running under the old constitution. You don't have a new constitution approved yet in terms of having primaries. So how is it going to be done? Are you not going to hold party primaries so that various contenders can, go before the people and then win the flag?
Yeah, but if we cannot be allowed to have meetings with our leaders, what makes you think that we can even be allowed to do primaries, party primaries? I mean, what we are involved in is a liberation struggle to try and get rid of this dictatorial system. So the current constitution we have gives the party, different ways of selecting candidates. The last time we used vetting. I believe we shall still use vetting now, and our NEC will be sitting probably next week to, come up with all these guidelines for the nation to know. But like I said, even under our new constitution, we had factored in vetting or primaries, because we know that we might even want to do primaries in a certain area and the regime will block them. Like I've said, and also infiltration, bribery, corruption, the things they've been doing with all these other parties. You've seen them want to even determine who becomes leaders in the different opposition parties using money and other machinations that the regime uses in this country. So yeah, we are going to have a next meeting, and then that next meeting will guide on the process that we will use. But what I must emphasize is that all our processes are always participatory, they're always fair, they're always transparent. You saw the system we use.
It will always be an Achilles heel. In trying to build democracy, that will be an Achilles heel on your side if you do not have people choose directly the leaders whom they want to give the mandate to lead. Because if you're going to give the committee headed by Masewa Lukamba to be the ones choosing the flag bearers, because you are unable to do what you probably to have direct elections, it will be challenged and criticized.
No, we have been using that system, and it has given us good leaders. Like I said, the last time we had a short time, it also brought it brought some leaders who turned out the way they turned out. But it's a system that we're using. We've been trying to better it every day, make it more participatory. You saw in Kawempe we even added the debate so that the public could also follow and participate and know the systems that we use. So yeah, we involve the people. We are people power. And I can assure you that the biggest consideration when we are giving out the NEP flag is the feedback that we get from the people.
When you have at the headquarters party leaders interested in running for office, for example, yourself, Mr. Rubongoya, you are NUP Secretary General, and others, I mean, how is the Masewa Lukamba Committee and the others, are they going to deny Mr. Rubongoya a flag? For heaven's sake, the Secretary General. There could be conflict of interest in that.
First of all, Masa Lukamba has done a great job, but the term of the election management committee that we've been having is soon expiring, and we shall be having another one. What I can tell you is that our processes are fair. Secretaries general of different political parties have been contesting. Party presidents, deputy presidents, and others have been participating in electoral processes. The last time you saw, we had some leaders at senior levels in our party who did not get the party flag. We had an organizing secretary. You remember Mr. Chidandala Sulaiman. He was sitting on the highest decision-making organ of the party, but he did not get the party flag because, and that is how the flag went to Honorable Segininya. Because when we went to the people, when they...
and by the way, there were allegations then that the flag was on sale, that some people had to pay for it.
Those were allegations, and we made it clear that whoever had any evidence should bring it forward. It's been 4 years now, nobody has brought that evidence. So, just treat that as street talk, and anybody who has evidence, bring it. We have been making it very, very clear that if anybody asks you for any favor, be it monetary or otherwise, for you to get a party flag of NUP, please report immediately, and you will see the kind of action that will be taken.
Mr. Secretary General Davis Louis Rubongoya, in this election, are you running for office?
Absolutely, and I think I've made it very clear that I'm running for office, and I've given the reasons why I think I should run for office, to also be able to represent the people, the constituency where I have been for some time and done some considerable work, but also, to have an opportunity to use that parliament as a platform to continue furthering the struggle for freedom and democracy. We do not look at these as jobs or whatever. We will look at these opportunities as a mission to further the people's struggle for freedom and democracy. You have a parliament which is now transactional, which has all these problems that we're talking about. And that is why some of us feel that maybe we can go there and make a contribution and try to change the trajectory of our country using every avenue that we can get, every possible platform that we can get.
Mr. Davis Louis Rubongoya, I want to thank you so much for the time you've given us and for your submission. What's going to be, very briefly, a concluding remark?
I want to appreciate the people of Uganda for the support they continue to give us. I want to appreciate the people for their concern about their country, and I want to encourage everybody. For me, my call is for every citizen, the professionals, the informal sector. Everybody should be involved, should get involved in the struggle to make this country better, because we have no other country except this one, which we call home. So that's why I call upon everybody, and support change, fight for change, work for change, enjoy a better country.
Louis Rubongoya, Secretary General there. Thank you very much. And that brings us to the end of tonight's edition of the Hot Seat. Join us again tomorrow, same station, same time. Happy Labor Day. Good night and God bless Uganda.